Outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden will use every opportunity he can take to deliver more weapons to Ukraine in the final days of his administration, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has pledged. With 50 days of its term left, the Biden administration is working to get Ukraine all the tools we possibly can to strengthen their position on the battlefield, the senior official told ABC News on Sunday. President Biden directed me to oversee a massive surge in the military equipment that we are delivering to Ukraine so that we have spent every dollar that Congress has appropriated to us by the time that President Biden leaves office, he said. President-elect Donald Trump has claimed that he could end the Ukraine conflict in 24 hours after he is sworn in on January 20th. Biden's stated strategy has been to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes to defeat Russia. Kiev will eventually have to engage Moscow diplomatically, Sullivan acknowledged on Sunday, and the purpose of the U.S. military aid is to give Ukraine as many tools as possible so that they could go into that negotiation and feel they could achieve the outcome that they would like to see. Ukraine's stated goal has been to retake all lands it claims under sovereignty, an aim that Russia considers detached from reality. When asked by anchor Jonathan Karl about the possibility of territorial concessions, Sullivan said it was up to Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky to decide that. He mused that the key thing in the situation is that Ukraine's destiny should not be imposed by outside powers, including the United States. In 2022, Kiev and Moscow preliminarily approved a draft peace agreement that would have ended the hostilities in exchange for Ukraine renouncing its ambition to join NATO and accepting a cap on the strength of its army. Russia was willing to offer its security guarantees in exchange. However, Kiev dropped the proposal after then-British Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the Ukrainians to just fight, as Kiev's top negotiator later put it. Western officials have denied that the Ukrainian government was pushed to continue fighting, though Johnson last week described Ukrainian soldiers as our proxies, as he urged giving them more arms to do the job. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump and congressional Republicans have blasted outgoing President Joe Biden for pardoning his son, Hunter Biden, who was convicted of tax evasion and illegally purchasing a gun. The sentencing in both cases had been scheduled for this month. Despite saying publicly that he would not interfere in his son's cases, the president went back on his word and announced the pardon on Sunday evening. He labeled the convictions a miscarriage of justice, arguing that Hunter Biden had been singled out because of his ties to the president. According to a statement from the White House, the pardon applies to all offenses that were or may have been committed between January 1, 2014 and December 1, 2024. This period covers accusations by Republicans that Hunter Biden acted as the bagman on behalf of his father during allegedly illicit business dealings in China and Ukraine. The president and his son have denied the claims. The Republicans, who have long accused the Biden administration of politically motivated prosecutions, condemned the pardon. The failed witch hunts against President Trump have proven that the Democrat-controlled DOJ and other radical prosecutors are guilty of weaponizing the justice system, Trump spokesman Stephen Chung said in a statement. That system of justice must be fixed and due process must be restored for all Americans, which is exactly what President Trump will do as he returns to the White House with an overwhelming mandate from the American people, he added. Trump compared the treatment of the president's son to the prosecution of his own supporters who stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, hoping to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the J-6 hostages, who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Many top Republicans in Congress were appalled, with Senator Chuck Grassley saying he was shocked by Biden's decision. This pardon is Joe Biden's admission that Hunter is a criminal. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote on X. Congressman Andy Biggs claimed that Joe Biden will go down as one of the most corrupt presidents in American history, This is an outrageous abuse of the rule of law, all to protect the Biden family business of selling access and influence, Senator Josh Hawley wrote on X. The Republican-controlled House Committee on Oversight and Accountability released a statement saying Joe Biden's unprecedented abuse of power has been a stain on the honor of the U.S. presidency. Syrian President Bashar Assad has vowed to eliminate terrorists who launched an offensive in the north of the country last week, along with their sponsors and supporters. In a phone call with Badr Gunba, the acting president of Abkhazia, late on Sunday, Assad said his forces would continue to defend the stability and territorial integrity of the nation. Terrorism only understands the language of force, and that is the language which we will break and eliminate it with, along with whoever its supporters and sponsors are, he stated, as quoted by Syria's official Sana'a news agency. The Syrian leader said his military forces are capable of striking at the terrorists and those who support them with the help of the country's allies. The Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, terrorist group, formerly known as Jabhat al-Nusra, and allied militias launched an assault on government-controlled territory in northern Syria last Wednesday. The attack largely targeted Aleppo and Idlib provinces, with jihadists overrunning a number of villages and towns in the area before entering the city of Aleppo last Friday. Aleppo, which is the second-largest city in the country, had been under Syrian government control since 2016. The Syrian armed forces, backed by Russian fighter jets stationed in the country, launched a counteroffensive on Thursday and have been engaged in fierce clashes with terrorists to regain ground. According to a military source who spoke to Sana'a on Sunday, government forces have stopped the militants from advancing on the city of Hama in central Syria. They also successfully liberated several towns and villages in Hama province, including Saran, Halfaya, Khalat al-Madik, and Martez, the source added. According to Syrian media outlets, nearly 1,000 terrorists have been killed during fighting in the past 3 days. In a statement on Saturday, the Syrian General Command said the army had lost dozens of service members, but noted that HTS fighters had failed to establish fixed positions amid airstrikes by Syrian and Russian jets. It also said the militants' attack had been supported by thousands of foreign terrorists, heavy weapons, and a large number of drones. Damascus has long accused Western states and their regional allies of aiding terrorist groups operating in the region. In a piece published on Sunday, the Kiev Post claimed that some Islamist groups that attacked Syria last week had been trained by the Kimmich Group, a special forces unit of the Ukrainian Military Intelligence Service, HUR. It reported that the unit, which has reportedly been active in Syria for some time, trained the terrorists on tactics developed during the ongoing conflict with Russia, including the use of drones.